most important thing to be a successful pro is like you have to really like poker because yeah, I mean if you don't like it, you're gonna get sick of it after a few years, and then I think that's really important in any job, really. But it's especially important for poker because you're your own boss, so it's really easy to like make yourself not motivated to go play if you don't like. Because yeah, I mean, no one's like forcing you to go in, I guess, so you don't have that extra, like extra. You need that extra discipline, and it really helps if you enjoy the game. I know some people that have been playing for a long time claim that like poker's like soul draining or whatever. I know like on 2+2, like DGAF is his thread is actually like a big proponent of like, oh, get out of poker. I've been playing for 10 years and like it's draining, and no one beats poker lifetime because no one can handle like how like soul sucking poker is. But I mean, I've played with DJF a number of times, and like it always seems like he has fun at the table. So it can't. I don't know. I guess I'm not saying I don't believe him, but it doesn't seem like it's that bad. I just brought him up as an example because it seems like he's one of like the biggest proponents of poker not being enjoyable after you play it for a long time. I think the second most important thing about playing poker as a business is honestly just unrelated to poker. It's just like running your own business. As being a professional poker player, it's really important to like not tilt, motivate yourself to go to the casino, just be careful with your bankroll. So I guess I say like, yeah, bankroll management is really important. I know a ton of players who, you would kind of expect them to not go broke, but they do go broke. Again, if you look on 2+2, there's a ton of examples. I don't want to pick on anyone, but the first one that comes to mind right now is Stealth Monk, who's like regarded to be a good player, but he's always broke, and it's just bankroll things. And that's how he chooses to live his life, which is fine. But I think like if you want to go into poker as like your only source of income, and you want to like guarantee that you're successful, then you have to have like good bankroll management. You just have to treat your poker like a business. You would never put all your eggs in one basket, or I mean, you probably wouldn't. If it was like your only source of income in a real business, so why would you do it in poker? It's just it gives you a good chance of like, it gives you a really good chance of going bust. I know like that's also the way how some people like kind of slingshot their careers. Like WCG Ryder, for example, is now really successful and well known. That's kind of like what he did. But for every person out there like him, there's a whole bunch of people that are basically broke and being staked now. And it's just a huge risk, and probably not one that you should be taking if you think you want to rely on poker for a long time. It's just the benefits. I mean, it depends on your living habits too. But in general, I just find the benefits don't. The negatives far outweigh the benefits. Because I mean, okay, whatever. Let's say you take this huge risk, you might go bust, but let's say you actually succeed and you end up with like an extra, a few $100,000 that you would have made this year. It's like, what are you gonna do? Whatever. I mean, I guess if you live a lavish lifestyle, then it could be worth it. But it's better to just grind it up. Third most important thing playing poker, I think, is actual poker skill, which is, I think it's kind of interesting because a lot of other people who don't play poker kind of view it as a really important thing, but a lot of people in the poker community, I think, really underrate it, where they like overemphasize like the first two things I talked about. But I think it's actually really hard to be not super hard, but it's not easy to be a winning poker player. And you can actually see that. It's very obvious when you go into the Rio and the World Series or whatever, and you can tell there are a lot of I mean, guys from all ages, but mostly young kids, that you can tell that like they think they're really good, and they're probably like aspiring pros, and some of them actually like in their mind, like they don't have any other job, and in their mind they're playing for their sole source of income, but you can tell they're not very good, and it's like really, really common. Anyone will tell you the same thing. You go and set 2-5, there's probably or 5-10, there's several players who, inexperienced poker player that if you get enough history with him, you can recognize like that guy's a losing player, but you know like he thinks he's real good, and it's just yeah. I mean like if you go to an average 5-10 table and ask everyone, do you think you're a winning player? Like probably like 8 out of 9 of them are gonna say yes, but you know in reality because of break it can't possibly be more than well it can't possibly be more than half, but it's not that high obviously. But everyone thinks they're good. So I think poker skill, this is just like logical thinking, psychology. You have to be good at like understanding people and their rationales. You have to understand like the logic behind their decisions. You have to be good at math. Like I know like so many people who have been playing for a long time with like thousands of hours and they don't know how to do pot odds or something. It's ridiculous to me. Know how to do pot odds. It's really important. No equities too, because I mean like you very often get in a spot where like okay someone goes all in and like it might not even be like you have a draw and it's obvious, but like you gotta know your equity against his range. You gotta know how to calculate that. Otherwise, how are you gonna know what to do? You can't just be like, oh, I put you on this one hand and I can beat that, so I call. That's stupid. But yeah, it's not that easy. So I think for me, I went into it because I had a good background in board games, video games. I mean, poker basically is a board game. I was always like pretty good at that, just playing with my friends and like really successful in online gaming. Just pretty consistently, like really, like whatever, like top 1% for whatever online game. So I was pretty confident that I would do well in poker, but yeah, I think a lot of people kind of jump into it. They think they're playing well. Actually, I played this guy Heads Up the other day. If he watches this, well, he played extremely poorly, but afterwards he was like, man, I lost so much this trip, but I was playing so well, I just don't understand how I can run so bad. I didn't really know what to say to him, because, I don't know. Sometimes I'll just tell him the truth, but I just wasn't in the mood to like kind of break it to him, I guess. But there's a lot of people like that, where, he thinks he's like, out here grinding it out and running bad, but he's really just just not playing good at all. Yeah, just for one example, we played Heads Up for like an hour. He only 3-bet me once. I made it 3x. He made it 60x. I folded and he showed aces. And that was the only time he 3-bet me the entire time. I opened 100% buttons too, so I mean it's like yeah. But like in his mind he's a good player. Anyway, yeah, I think that's about it, unless you have any questions or want me to elaborate on